Hello, hello, hello. I am running a little late, but I am here nonetheless. We're going to wait about 2 minutes and then we can get started with our topic today. Hello, hello. Crazy, I don't know why the video's not showing live. Hopefully everyone can see it and can see. So we are just going to dive right in and get started. Hello, my name is Kiana. I am the creator of Financial Freedom Savers and the owner of Inspiring Financial Freedom. In Financial Freedom Savers, we talk about pretty much all things finance, from creating habits to the basics of understanding finances, sharing our opinions, thoughts, and ideas as a group to cultivate a wonderful experience with one another, as well as just being able to learn from individuals that we may or may not know when it comes to this thing called finances. I know finances are a taboo topic for the most part. However, I'm trying to cultivate a different environment in our area so that it doesn't seem too taboo and that it doesn't seem hard to talk about and that you can share your opinion and or interest and idea with just about anyone. So as typically for all of my starting videos, I like to recap on any questions that were asked this week. And if you have any additional questions, please drop them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer them while here on live. If not, then I'll answer them in the group afterwards. So this week's questions were really good to me, and they did get some traction from most people, which I enjoyed a lot. One was, what's one belief about money that you had to unlearn as an adult? Your money wins for the year thus far. What if you could focus on one financial goal this year? What would it be? A lot of people talked about kind of like consistency, rebuilding their savings, rebuilding their finances, not paying financial institutions credit or interest based on taking out new credit. And I think the one that I think for me had touched the most and I think caused the most traction this week was a money lesson you are most grateful you learned early or learned the hard way. And I think that one comes for me was kind of like the savings, putting things on automation. And I think that is what's going to tie us right into our topic of this week is, consistency over perfection, creating the habit formula. So with money, it's not about if I do it, I do it, I do it, but it's about creating a system that will work with your discipline. So with working out, we know that if we go to the gym and we apply the weights, we push the pressure, we go 4 or 5 days a week, we eat right, there's a discipline behind it because we're making ourselves do it. But if you also think about it, you are also creating systems. And the systems are, what days you're going to do legs, what days you're going to do back, what days you may do full body. So you have a system in place when it comes to eating. You know that you have to eat so many proteins, you have to eat so many carbs. So why not look at our finances in that same exact manner by creating systems and not just focusing on discipline. While discipline is the act of utilizing free will to be able to continuously do it without the force of someone else having you do it, that does work. However, discipline does not work if there's not an appropriate system in place to counter or to check and balance your discipline. So, thinking about it, motivation is only emotional. So we could be motivated to want to save. Like, if we get to talking with someone and we're like, oh yeah, like, or if they're, well, I'm gonna say hypothetically, if I'm talking to a friend, and I'm like, oh yeah, I saved $1,000 this month. They're like, oh, that's good. Like, I would love to get into saving. Like, I want to save $1,000 too. Because I've started that conversation, they're not interested in the idea of saving. However, it may or may not actually cause them to do it because there's no structure behind it. There's just the emotional aspect that somebody told you information that now encourages you to want to do it. However, you have no real idea on how to get that done. And then ideally, if your money habits work in a way where you feel like it, or where if I have the extra money today, then I'll do it. Or if, my paycheck gets the extra $5, I'm able to do it. So your money habits aren't built on just because or when I feel like it. There has to be like structure put in place for you to actually succeed in doing those things. And most people fail with creating habits and or structure or systems is because they're irresponsible and lack the discipline that is required, but also the courage to continue doing it and putting the appropriate systems that will work for you in place. So something that may work for me may not always work for you. So you have to figure out what works best for you, your finances, and your habits. If you know you're one of those people who don't like saving because you think that something an emergency is always going to come up, that should be why you save. However, you don't have to start out grandiose and saving $100 a paycheck. You can start saving $1 a paycheck, 1% of your paycheck. Finding something that's small enough to where you don't miss it initially and slowly begin growing it. And then an example is if saving money depends on your remembrance to transfer it, you'll always forget it. You'll never have the opportunity to because something's always going to come up. You're always going to find a reason not to do it. And then another example would be if you automate it, then it always happens on a bad day. And funny enough, I was literally talking to a friend today about paying up my renter's insurance in full. Like for me, car insurance, renter's insurance, anything that's less than $100 a month, if I can put it on auto pay or pay it in full, if I have the money, by all means, that's what I'm gonna do. And her theory was, if I die tomorrow, then I paid up my renter's insurance. And I'm like, but you're not gonna miss that additional money. I'd rather, in the long run, save that $2 because they typically give you a discount for paying in full or paying in advance. If you pay in advance that full 6 months to a year policy, you're not missing out on any money because for the 140 it cost me to pay up my renter's insurance for the year, I was only paying $15 a month just because they were gonna charge an additional fee. So I'd rather just pay it because I'm gonna have $150 today, tomorrow, and so forth. However, I don't want to keep paying that little 13, 15 measly dollars just because I want to pay a bill. I'm okay with that. And there's never a bad day because we know that bills are gonna come. So if you automate it, then it doesn't make it a bad day. You just have to structurally set your mind to not miss the money that you already don't have. Um, Next topic. So why perfection kills financial progress? Money is not a perfected thing. There's no way, shape, or form to be like, I perfected my finances. I perfected my budget. I know how every single day is gonna go. I know that if I check my balance every 2 days, that things are gonna get better and brighter for me. That if I do this one day, it's gonna always work. So there is nothing perfect about money. There's nothing perfect about how you handle your money. And I think that is one of the things that you have to be willing to like let go of. If perfection is something you're looking for, quickly and reasonably change your mindset that there is no perfection when it comes to finances. Because life is not perfect and it throws us curveballs, it throws us alley oops, and it throws us touchdowns some days. They're all different sports, however. Very good analogy. But you have to stop thinking that money is like an all or nothing game. Like just because you have one bad day or one bad month, it does not ruin the progress that you set out for yourself. So yeah, you may have a bad day. Yeah, you may have went to Burlington's and bought shoes that you didn't need, but that doesn't make your finances ruined. It just means that you now need to adjust, and that's the purpose of utilizing your budget or reviewing your finances. Like if I know, like how I did today, went to Burlington's and spent $60 on shoes that I did not need. I now need to adjust my budget in some way, shape, or form to account for the $60 that I didn't initially plan a budget. And we know that life goes that way. Sometimes we have an allotment for every dollar in our budget, and life happens. And now the allotment that we had for going out to eat this week no longer fits because I just bought shoes. So it looks like I'll be eating in. So that's for me, the good part about budgeting and finances is that I can make the adjustments necessary to my life because when life gets to life and if things start looking a little different or my budget no longer necessarily makes sense to me in that moment, I now get to make it adapt to who I am in that moment, to what my goal is going forward and press forward. I now get to make those adjustments because it's mine. Finances are personal. Personal finance is something that I love because it does not have a one size fit all. It does not categorize income. It does not categorize emotions. It doesn't do any of that. But for you setting and creating and building that relationship with your finances, That allows you to do that. You get to depict how that works for you. While my story for me is peaches and cream some days, and it's like hell and high water the other day. You have to be willing to make those adjustments and adapt, quite frankly. Perfection indicates that if I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it. So having that perfect mindset is letting you mentally know that if I don't hit this target every single day or don't do this said thing the way that I said I was going to do it, that I can't do it anymore. That's like, again, working out analogy. If I tell myself I'm going to work out 5 days a week and it's now Sunday and I've only been to the gym 3 times, and like, oh, I wasn't able to hit my 5 times a week this week, so next week I just won't go at all. What? The whole new week. I get to start over. So every day that you feel like your finances were not perfect for that day, start over the next day. Adjust, adapt, modify, and keep going. You have no reason to stop because your life doesn't stop. You're still making money. You're still gonna spend money. So I'd rather you spend money, make money, knowing where it's going and how it's applying to you. When you have that mindset and that actual relationship with your money, you're not scared of it. You're not fearful of the unknown. You're prepared for it. And understand that financial freedom is built on boring, repeated actions, not dramatic resets. So while, like I said, if I, didn't go to the gym, for those 2 days or those 2 days that I didn't go, and I'm like, okay, well, now I just quit. I give up on my goals. What? It's gonna be harder to start over when I decide I want to get tired again. Why not just keep going? Same with your finances. No, it's not perfect. However, you keep going. And I know for me, like I've tried, and if you've been in a group for a while, I would do no spend days. So I would allot myself maybe 4 or 5 days out of the month where I was able to spend money outside of said bills. So your bills would be your fixed and or variable amounts. I think your light bill will be considered a variable expense because we don't really know how much you're going to spend. However, you know a range of it. So I'm going to say your fixed expenses are the things that you can't pay for. We know bills come out any day of the week, so those will be the things that you don't account for. However, I'm going to give myself one day a week, it's 4 weeks out of the month, to be able to spend. Am I going to go crazy when I spend? No, but I'm going to intentionally only spend on those days. And that's setting yourself up for a mentality of I'm not spending frivolously. I'm not spending just because my paychecks say I can afford it. I'm spending with intent, and I'm also setting myself up for being able to manage my money better. So if I put in, the ideal that I get one spend day a week, and if something happens to come up and I need to utilize that spend day, guess what I'm doing? Spending. And I'm also gonna think ahead. Okay, it's today's Thursday. If I said that my spend day or I haven't spent any money at all, then okay, cool. But today I went shopping. I bought me some shoes. So if today was my only spend day that I've utilized this week, that means whatever else I think I needed today, I need to account for. If I think that I want to eat out this week, I'm eating out today. If I think that I need to go buy something that wasn't necessarily on my list, I need to do it today because today is the day that I'm spending. And that way you're not frivolously spending, you're not spending crazily, you're not having transactions every 5 days of the week. You're being intentional about your money. You're giving it a goal. You're utilizing it at best. And you're making it work for you as best as you possibly can. And I believe that that helps with the mindset of I don't want to spend every day and that I shouldn't spend every day. And I know for me, whenever I'm working or doing something, I go home and I go to work. If I'm just super lazy, cool, I may eat out that one day. But for the most part, I'm not spending money throughout the week. But on the weekend, I'm swiping that card. But I think that also sets the parameter that weekends are when I do spend. So that now puts me in the mindset of I need to not allow my spend days to be on weekends because I have too much free time. So I'm going to spend more than I normally would if I were to allow my spend day to be a Monday through Thursday. So that also, again, I'm identifying my habits because I review my budget, because I know what my checkbook looks like, because I also review my bank accounts, all as many as I have. I review them to know that my spending increases on the weekends. I review them to know that when Monday through Thursday, I'm not spending as much because I am busy. So that gives me the idea, okay, how do I reduce my spending while not putting myself on this like super strict budget, while not super restricting myself or whatever? Like how do I still be able to live without feeling so tightened? And I think people have this idea that if you don't tie the rope, if you tie the rope super tight, excuse me, you're going to be able to excel at your goals. No, I need to be able to wiggle. I need to be able to know that this does not stop me from achieving my goals. This does not stop me from continuing to reach said goal or continuing to have the mindset that I can do it. Whenever you make things too hard for yourself, especially with finances, we're usually quick to give up on them and say, I don't want to do it anymore. Because if I can't do it now, I'm never going to do it. Taking it slow, taking it one step at a time, setting small incremental things, which we talked about goals last week, making small goals for yourself to let you know that they are attainable and achievable. So whenever you have that one reward in your mind, like if I said I want to save $100 by next month, how am I gonna attain that $100? So I know it's four weeks in a month. If I save $25 every week, I have $100. So once I got that $100, I save $100 in 1 month. Okay, bet. Next month I want to save 150. Can I challenge myself in that manner? Well, I know I can save $100. I'm sure I can save $150. So knowing what you're capable of by setting that small goal, achieving it, and having been consistent in it. You had a system in place that stated that I can save and I'm going to save $25 a week. You achieved it by doing it and you met your goal. So now that gives you that sense of accomplishment and enjoyment personally to where you're like, okay, I can do this more. I can do this one more time. I can do this two more times. I can triple that. I can double that. Whatever the goal is financially, as long as you don't make it so strict on yourself that it seems unattainable. Because we all know that if a goal seems too far out of reach, we're not gonna do it. It's too many steps to get there. I don't want to do it no more. And that's why they state to make SMART goals or goals that give you steps to getting there. If you have one big goal of saving $10,000, that's a large number. How do I now take that $10,000 and break it down into smaller goals? How do I take that over if I get paid every 2 weeks? What number am I willing to sacrifice to be able to save for that $10,000 goal? So remembering that it's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Putting in that progress and doing it. Putting a system in place to let you know, like, hey, I can do this and I got it. So one of the things that I love, and I mentioned today to someone in the group, is automation. If you can automate it, automate it. And I start by saying savings. I'm not saying put your bills on autopilot, though. That's what I do, but I've gotten there. I'm proud of myself because all of my bills are definitely on auto pay and I don't check my bank account to make sure they're gonna be able to get paid. She has been clapped. But no, seriously. The first way that I started kind of like knowing that I was trusting myself with my finances was when I automated my savings. At first I started with, let's just say, $20 every time I got paid. When I got paid on a Friday, well, technically nowadays you may get paid on a Wednesday or Thursday. However, automated, to be on Fridays. I got paid on a Friday. As soon as my paycheck came into my bank account, my $20 also came out of my bank account. So it was automated to where when I get paid, my savings also gets paid. So once creating that process, I wasn't missing the $25 because in hindsight, I saw the money in my bank account and I also saw it go to my savings. I do not have physical access to any of my savings accounts. However, yes, I can transfer the money to myself if I need it. But I can't just go to the bank and be like, can I get some money? Because most of my savings accounts are online. Good for me because I don't need access to them. However, when it comes to it, you're putting into place the ideal that like out of sight, out of mind. And that is what I like to think of with my savings. If I do not see it, I do not think about it. And I know most of us have a savings account tied to our checking account. That's fine. My personal preference is to not have a checking account tied to my savings account. That way, and yes, there's now systems in place to where you can easily transfer money from your savings to your checking. But with savings accounts, you only get 6 withdrawals per month. That's a lot, honestly. You shouldn't even be utilizing your savings account that frequently. However, it is allowable. And it takes about 2 to 3 business days to transfer from a online banking account to your checking account. So that's also another reason why I say don't have them connected. Personally, is why I don't have them connected is because I have to wait 2 to 3 days to get the money anyway. So in 2 to 3 days, I don't need it no more. If I didn't plan for it to know that I needed it on this day, I don't need it no more. Unless it's a dire emergency, cool, I may need it. However, if 3 days done pass, and I still ain't got what I needed, I don't need it. That's the benefit of it. It's not easily accessible and or attainable. So again, out of sight, out of mind. So easy. But another way to do this, if you don't want to automate the savings to come from your checking account directly, your paycheck, your HR department should allow for you to put more than one direct deposit option on your account or on your payroll thing. Deposit, I don't really know the exact name for it. I can't think of it right now. However, we know we've all filled out the direct deposit form or completed online where you give your bank account routing number, and it typically asks what percentage or what amount would you like to go to this bank account. Obviously, we put one on file, so I need 100% going there. However, when we're adulting and we're saving and we're putting our savings account out of sight, out of mind, we can easily add that percentage to our direct deposit. That's now what I do. I've big girl. So from automating it to come from my checking account to my savings account every time I got paid, now it doesn't even hit my checking account because I've allowed for the system to be able to take out 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, whatever percent you want to take out to go to my savings account. And it's easy for you to decipher like how much or what about a roundabout of how much money that would be. If you know how much you get paid, multiply that by 3%, and that will be the amount that's going into your savings account on a monthly basis. Again, I think this way for me works so much better because it goes directly to my savings account. So I don't see that additional. And mind you, I pay attention to like debits and credits in mine, and you may not be there yet. However, this is something that I learned and why I moved to this particular method is because as soon as I get paid, I'm seeing that debit come from my account, and I like to see as less few debits coming from my checking account as possible. So if I now just automate it to go directly into my savings account versus going into my checking account, it is literally out of sight, out of mind. Because I personally utilize a checkbook app where I have to balance my actual checking account. So if it's not balanced, I'm like, dang, what happened to this money? Where'd it go? It said I made $1,200 this month or this week, but I only got $1,150 in here. Oh, I saved $50. I have to account for that. Meanwhile, if it automatically goes into my savings account, I made $1,100, and that's what I made. I have $1,100 to spend because that's what I have to spend. So for me, it's about the consistency and habit building within that, but also setting those goals. So for me, I started at $20. From there, I went to 2% of my check going into my savings account directly. I'm now at a split between, I think, 14%. So I put 7% in one savings account and 7% in another savings account. And that's easy for me because whatever hit my checking account is all I got. And I've also got into a point where I have a bill specific account and I know how much my bills are because again my bills are now automated and on auto pay. So I have a bill specific checking account. And I'm gonna say it's about 75% of my check goes directly to that bills account. I have a fun money account, which is the money that I can buy groceries with, I can buy gas with, I can go buy my shoes with, I can do whatever I want with my fun money, and that's about I'm gonna say 30%. No, 25. No, I lied. Like 14%. And then between the other amount, I think 8 and 8 maybe is going to my savings accounts. I set up to where my bills get paid, I have money to splurge with, and then I have a savings to grow. However, again, starting smaller, you usually want to create those small, intimate habits where you're continuously saving your money. And I always say put it on automation if you can, or at least if you don't put nothing else on automation, automate your savings account. And I say that simply because it's one of those things where if we feel like we don't have the money, we're going to neglect it. I've done that before. And I'm like, oh, it's really tight this month. I may need that extra $20. I never needed it. I just found something else to do with it. So we can talk ourselves out of the idea of saving. We're going to stop it. We're going to prevent ourselves from doing it. And that's going to make it even worse. You're just going to be like, oh, I haven't saved because something's always coming up or whatever the excuse we may give ourselves. And we need to stop that because it doesn't work. It causes a counteractive result because we're wanting to do something. However, we're talking ourselves out of it. So you never actually receive the satisfaction of doing it because you're talking yourself out of it every single time. So a way to do that is by attaching the habit that you're building to something that you're already doing. You're getting paid every Friday or Thursday or whatever day it is. When you get paid, review everything that you spent for those previous 2 weeks. How did you spend and utilize your money? Did you handle what was necessary? Did you automate that savings? Did you make that actual savings transfer to your account? If so, okay, great. However, it also makes you more keen and knowledgeable about how you're spending your money. And I know I've said it before as well. I know how I'm spending my money. I'm the one spending it. Yeah, in the moment you know how you're spending it. However, when the time is up, do you know what you did last week with that money? And I've done that before. Like I spent something, and because the title didn't look exactly how I thought it would, I'm like, I don't even know what I spent this money on. I don't have a recollection of it because I didn't check my bank account within that time frame to confirm. Oh, I did spend $60 on shoes. No, I don't know what I spent $60 on. So it's having that mental check-in as well as that actual check-in with your bank account to see what it was that you did. You don't have to spend all of your Friday going through your finances or checking your bank account, but taking a glimpse of it to at least make sure that your account looks right. And I know sometimes we may be charged fees that we are not aware of. Something may have auto drafted that wasn't supposed to, or something may have gotten money. If you've never checked your bank account, you will never know what you're missing. Yeah, you pay your bills and yeah, you swipe your card because it says there's money there, but you could be missing out on money because you're missing out on out on checking your bank account. So take that time, do yourself the advantage and not the disservice of actually doing it. Your brain loves and enjoys patterns. For me personally, I have it in my planner every Sunday to update my checkbook. Review all of my bank accounts and ensure that they match up and align up. That way, whenever the month comes to an end and I'm manually writing in my budget with all that I spent so that I can now update my next month's budget, I'm like, ooh, I spent a lot of money. Like last month, I spent $400 on clothes. I'm like, why? What did I need clothes for? And I thought I was going back to work, so I needed work clothes. Okay, makes sense. Am I gonna spend $400 on clothes this month? No, I'm not. Not at all. But it's having that idea that okay, I was able to review my budget and know how to adapt it for the next month, how to make it fit for what's coming up next. And if you attach your money habits to existing routines, then the resistance to do it drops. So if you're putting it next to something that you already do, excuse me, you're going to be more willing to do it. So, first thing first, remove your friction. Like, remove whatever the naysayer is in the back of your head. Can you automate your savings account? Can you check your bank account on a weekly basis? Is there a budget that can help you, or a budgeting app, or budgeting software, or even a spreadsheet that can help you budget better to be able to have a more visual view of where your finances are going? When you take the hands-on approach to knowing what your money is doing and how it's working for you, you're only winning. You're only bettering yourself. You're only furthering your finances personally because you're going further than you ever were before. You're doing something that at the moment does not feel comfortable, but the more you do it, the more consistent you be with it, the way that you utilize it like a real system, it becomes second nature. Then you're now wanting to challenge yourself to see if there's more that you can do. Can I now, check my balance every week versus every 2 weeks? Do I update my savings account, every 6 months? Like, do I feel like I can save more now? Do I feel like I can pay off a little bit of debt more now? Whatever the case or situation is, the more that you become personal with that situation or with your finances overall, it creates longevity as well as like open mindedness and opportunity because you want to do more now that you understand what's going on. Knowledge is power, and I believe that yes, our school system has lacked us a lot with learning about finances, besides how to identify what money looks like. You now have to take that step to do it and want it for yourself, quite frankly. And I know that sucks because we're older now, but we're never too old. We're never too old to learn. Everybody's capable of learning something at any point of their lives. So, last thing, and I think this matters mostly, is because when Christmas and holiday time come around, it's like we forget everything that we learned. We forget that our savings is automated and we cut it off. We forget that debt is a thing and we incur it. Do not allow Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries, or any additional holiday that requires you to spend extra money cause you to get out of pocket. Yes, enjoy them, celebrate them. However, what is a system that you can put in place for yourself to not overindulge and put you in a backed up situation to where you now have to dig yourself out of a hole? And I know time and time again, and I'm sure everyone has heard this before, that Christmas pretty much puts you in a deficit because you did not plan for Christmas. We know Christmas is the same time, same day every year. Yet we get to December and act like we just lost sight of it. You've had 11 months to prepare, literally 11 months to prepare for the fact that December is coming. You could save $50 every month. I don't know what you plan on getting them for Christmas. However, put it within your budget. If your budget is $50 per person, you can save $50 a month, and that is your gift money. You can not buy gifts, quite frankly. That's the method I enjoy doing. Or again, finding something that works for you so that you're not in a deficit. For birthdays, I like to give gift cards because I don't gotta go physically buy nothing, and I can just order you an e-gift card. Or I like to do something personal and sentimental because I put my hands into it, and while I do have to buy the supplies or said thing to make this birthday gift, it didn't cost me $200. So it's taking the time to like reflect honestly, but also utilizing what you have in front of you to get to where you need to go. So while Christmas holiday time can be stressful, don't allow it to be the thing that gets you off of your flow. Don't stop automating your savings because Christmas came around. Don't stop paying your debt because Christmas came around. Don't stop doing the things that you did just because the holiday came about. It comes about every year. Keep your Keep your systems in place even when times get tough. Because while your systems are working for you, again, that out of sight, out of mind notion, you can come back to that at any point. If you keep it in place during the Christmas holiday or during the holiday of giving or whatever the case may be, you've done saved 3, 4 months of money that you were gonna spend if you would have stopped it. You've now advanced yourself further because you did not take that system out of play. You kept your system going. So keep doing it. Stop allowing things to get in your way. So I do challenge you all as I am coming to a close to a 14-day challenge. The month is nearly over. However, I still believe that with the 2 weeks, 2ish weeks that we have left, that you can either A, track your spending for 14 days, B, save something every week for 2 weeks. No, yeah, every week for 2 weeks. So pick a number and save it. It could be $10 a week. I mean, at the end of 2 weeks, you got $20. It could be $100 a week. At the end of the week, 2 weeks, you got $200. Or do two 15-minute money check-ins. And that means that you sit with your bank accounts, all of them that you have, and review your expenses. Review what last month looked like for you. It's the beginning of a new year. You may have gotten a new job. Your rent may have increased. Groceries went up. Gas went up. There's a lot of things that could have changed within what your typical budget would have looked like last year, and now you have to adjust and account for it this year. So I challenge you to pick one of these things, and I will also leave them in the group and challenge everyone who was not able to see the live to do them because I think it's something that if we give ourselves a little challenge, it goes a long way. Again, like I said, that small hint of accomplishment that you did something that you didn't intend to do, but you did it because you stayed consistent, you put a system in place, and discipline won. You won. So remember that progress is over perfection always. We don't intend to be perfect, we just intend to keep pushing. Have a great day.